A friend of mine and I wanted to play kickball. It was a group of us, but there was the last ball. And so I went to get the ball, and this kid named Russell, I'll never forget, took the ball from me. So I took the ball back from him, and we got to tussling about it, and he called me a nigger. And I remember not knowing exactly what it meant, but I knew it was bad.
Back in grade school, I was the only African American female in the school. So basically, I was called a nigger by 8 boys, 7 white and 1 Asian. And I never opened up about it until I actually went to my principal at the Catholic school and told them. And the boys never got in trouble, they never got suspended, but I was the person who actually got in trouble for just opening up about the situation. So like I felt alone. I wasn't comfortable actually talking about the situation from 5th grade all the way up to the 8th grade. It was just weird, and I was the only person by myself.
Although the term nigga is a very common word today amongst the younger generation, many do not know the exact date or origin of the word.
I don't think anybody has an exact date or origin, but I think clearly it's most associated with the period of enslavement and the Jim Crow period right after. It is particularly associated with the southern region of the United States.
While the term nigger was first used as a racial slur to degrade African Americans, it has evolved into the term nigga, which is used as a word now meaning friend.
So, I have African American friends who run around calling each other nigger, and it's like a laughing matter.
I typically think of it as something that white people say to black people, and it's really bad and it's derogatory and it's terrible, but then you have young people saying, no, that's a term that we're going to use. So I think that's probably the biggest move or shift in the use of the term.
I have definitely said nigga with an A on the end because I felt like that was like slang, and my friends were black, didn't care if I said that, but I never said it with the E on the end because my mom would slap me. She told me when I was 7 years old that if I ever came to the house saying that type of like derogatory racial slurs that she would probably beat me.
Society today has made the two words mean different things, but ultimately they do seem to just be the same word, just pronounced differently.
I think it evolved in the way that maybe like a lot of people wanted it to be more of like a term of endearment, so then they started saying it to each other.
Marginal groups want to define themselves, and this is one of the ways that they chose to do it, by taking a term that had perhaps made them feel like nothing or suggested that they were of no value, and taking it and turning that term into something that is a term of endearment in some ways.
In March of 2012, Brytnee Johnson, an African-American woman, sued her employer, Rob Carmona, who identifies as an African-American Hispanic man, for verbally attacking her within the workplace. Ms. Johnson claims that she has been verbally harassed due to the fact that her boss repeatedly called her a nigger. Upon the court case, the jury awards Brytnee Johnson a total of $280,000. This then raises up the question, who is allowed to say the N-word, and to whom are they allowed to say it?
I guess it really don't matter depending on like who your friends are. Like if you black and then you got white friends or whatever, it's alright, I guess, as long as you're comfortable with them.
I don't think anybody should be able to say the N-word, but in the society that we live in, anybody's going to say it. If a black person says it, it's going to give a white person a right to say it.
It's used more comfortably in the African American culture, and I think that if anything, it should kind of remain in that group.
Black people are allowed to say it almost exclusively, and I don't really buy the whole I get a pass so I can say it thing. I think that gets really dicey, and even then when you hear people say, well, if black people say it, then everybody else should be able to say it too, right? I don't really buy that argument either, because my question is, why do you want to say it, right? Why do you want the right to say it?
My friends say it to me sometimes, and I just kind of like sit back and I'm like, whoa, what did you just call me? But then again, it's like, I can't exactly blame them because everybody else in school does it.
I don't know why I had such strong feelings about this. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the word was rooted in hate and it was meant to put my ancestors down.
I don't think anyone should be using the N-word because it's supposed to be a bad word, and you wouldn't want to call someone a bad word no matter what word it is.
If people would just stop saying the N-word, all the problems in Black America would go away, and I think that's untrue, because there was a time before rap music and Black life chances weren't great either. So you can't look at this term and say, this is the root cause of all that badness, right?
It's in all the rap songs, all the popular songs, so everybody thinks it's okay. And then you got all the white people singing it, so.
I've heard people say it with the A on the end to somebody that they didn't like, and it had the same effect, right? So if you see people about to fight or something, it's like, and I call you a nigga with an A in that moment, that doesn't make you feel any better than calling you a nigger with an ER on it.
I think it's a word. I think it relies on context. I don't think it's a good word, but I don't think it should be like buried. It's a part of history. If it's said in a serious tone with, you know, a really kind of negative, pessimistic context to it, then everyone gets offended at the same rate. You know, it isn't like this person gets more offended because they're Black.
It's degrading and it's enraging. Again, maybe it's just me, but I need you to see that something needs to change, because this isn't the way the words should be. And last time I checked, my name was Barnell, not nigga.